Okay, welcome back to Hobby Chat Base. This is about the moon. Um, done a video before on this. I talked about how the aliens created it and that. And I know how way out there that can seem. So I did remember doing a wee bit of research that day on the moon to what would happen if the moon was taken away. And because they spoke of mass and the magnetism and that, because I know a lot about that kind of thing in energy form, as everything is energy, it said about the oceans there would be disruptiveness in them. Now, it doesn't really explain very much in all fairness. And so today I thought of it again. And so what I was thinking of, what you see on land is before the continents separated on the plates that the world is on. I forget what they're called. But all land was held together as one unity. And so that got me to question, well, the moon wasn't always there. And was it there when all of land was together, when all continents were as one? And what you would find is, if you had all continents as one, you would have that mass, that physical mass, drawn to the sun, where the land would become warm, where you'd have better weather, and everybody would live around the outside of it by the shore, and the water would be kept at its distance. There wouldn't be floods or anything like that. And this is what you would have had it way back when the land was held together. But what caused the plates to separate? Which made me think, well, the moon. When the moon was created, you had another physical object on another side of what the sun was. So what you had then was a separation of the plates pulling away from each other, pulling the mass away from itself into direction of something it would see in another mass, as you would find that magnetic field towards the moon. And so then you would get the separation of the plates, platonic plates, I think that's what they're called. And so then you would get a separation of the land. So in that, I decided to look up, I haven't even read this yet, so bear with me, to if the moon existed when all the continents were together. So what I asked, was there any mention of it? Because, well, that's how we know about things. That's how we have our theories if someone says something. No, there is no mention of the moon's existence during the time when all continents were joined together. Which would make you think about what I've just said. The moon is believed to have formed much earlier. Oh, well, believed. So who wrote this part? And why was it not mentioned in this time? So anyway, 4.51 billion years ago, from the debris and of a massive impact between the early Earth and Mars-sized object called Theia Pangaea supercontinent. Anyway, so it wasn't mentioned during the time that the continents were together. But yet they have belief it was created before that time. But why was it not mentioned that time and it's mentioned now in this time? Or the time after that, when the continents separated? when it was there to be seen as a creation? Did it help separate the continents? Possibility? Yeah, very possible. When you look at the scale of everything, the physical structure of mass, the magnetism, the electrical field between them, and how the moon is an electrical force, electrical magnetic field, the same as Earth, the same as you, the same as I, how we are drawn to each other, how we are magnetized to each other. And so what you would see in the land of the Earth, it would be magnetized to the moon. But as if everything's governed by the sun, it would stay together. And so you get a moon over here, when the sun's here controlling it all, and the moon appears. And the moon's the other end of the sun. So you're going to get part of the land separating. And the more the land separates, the other land wants to follow. Like a cell. And all you have to do is think of form, movement, creation. And you have it. You have a moon that's created separation of the continents. Now, who created the moon? As I say, aliens, reptilians, something I remember being called when I was younger, a reptile. But why? Why not? When they could control you and absorb your consciousness and manipulate everything. Anyway, as I say, just my view. But you can look at the science of it. You don't need to go into any real detail because you know how everything works in a physical attraction, or you should at least do by knowing yourself. Anyway, hopefully this gives you some insight. This is Happy Chopper. Love and peace.